first things I would ask, do you know your daily, weekly, or monthly fixed overhead? So let's say you're Dr. Collins here. Do you know what it costs to open your door on a daily basis, to pay your nurse practitioner that's there for 8 hours, to pay your front desk person to be there for 8 hours, all the equipment, everything that you use at the end of the day? So that's kind of a little bit what we're going to go into, but I just wanted to throw that out there as far as from a business planning standpoint. So I'm going to start off with the 30,000 foot view. We talk about this a little bit in sales. Like I said, I'm trying to make you become a salesperson today. That's what these meetings are about, is more from a business standpoint. So you talk about mission and vision. Mission's really what are you doing and how you are doing it within your office, where a vision is like what you want to be. Like, what do I want to be in a year or 5 years or 3 months? And I think it's really important that it's not just, and I'm going to keep picking on Dr. Collins because she's sitting right in front of me. It's not just, I'm Dr. Collins, I'm a DO, and I want to make people feel better. There's got to be more to it than that. There's, orthomolecular. We want to transform the practice of medicine. That is our vision. So it extends beyond, that seems like such a lofty thing, transform the practice of medicine. So think to yourself, what do I do? What do I want my practice to be? So we want to talk about that a little bit. What are your goals? So we're going to go into setting goals for basically the first quarter of 2016. Again, I'm a salesperson. I set goals for everything. Before I was a salesperson, I was a Division I soccer player. I set goals for everything. It was as simple as I want to be a starter by my sophomore year in college, or I want to be able to run 2 miles in 10 minutes. You have to set a goal or else you're never going to achieve it. And then planning to get there. So again, if I want to run 2 miles in 10 minutes, I can't just think that for 6 months, then all of a sudden I'm just going to run 2 miles in 10 minutes. I have to plan that out. What differentiates you? So, maybe just being a primary care doctor that does, acupuncture. That differentiates you from most primary care doctors, but now you're in a room with maybe a couple other primary care doctors that also do that. So what makes you special? What sets you apart? And then the last one, long-term objectives versus short-term landing points. So again, we call them LTOs, but where do you want to be in 5 years? So I'll pick on Dr. Feldman because we've talked a little bit, but let's say she wants to have the Illinois Integrative Center for Medicine. And I don't know that's exactly what she wants to have, but probably something like this. And she wants it to be like a 2-story building, and on the first floor there's going to be this big kitchen, and she's going to have massage rooms and an acupuncturist. And on the second floor she's going to have herself and 4 nurse practitioners. You need to put that out there, as far as setting a goal, but also really what that is my objective. I want to get there. So you say that's your 5-year long-term objective. What do I need to do by the end of 2016? What do I need to do by the end of 2017, 18, 19? So in 2020, I can own this 2-story building and have all of these things in it. So making sure to set those different landing points, because sometimes that 5-year goal can just seem so far out that it's like I never achieved anything. So if you set these more short-term goals, it's really going to get you to that point of, okay, I've had a success. I've moved out of my smaller space into a slightly larger space. I've brought in, or I've started my wellness program that's been going on for an entire year, something like that. Next thing, do your employees know all these things? So I think it's really easy kind of to start in your head. It's like, this is what I want to do, but have you really explained this to everybody in your staff? And tying into that, does your office have a culture? So it's interesting because as much as maybe you can't discriminate on the employees that you hire, you can try to get your employees to live the lifestyle that you promote, and start to speak the language and get to that point of achieving the health and everything that you want. Because now that you're selling that, you're selling this wellness program and you're selling this idea of integrative medicine and functional medicine to your patients, you want to make sure that if you can't sell your front desk on that, how are you going to get patient X to join and get on this program? So I think it's important. I really like this. Are you and your staff bought in at the head level? So like, yes, logically or whatever, I get it. You've told me I need to do this. It makes sense. But are they really bought in at the heart level? Are they starting to live this lifestyle? And I wish Erica was here. She's not here yet, but she's with True Health, and Elena, who does some stuff at Dr. Feldman's office, she's bought in at the heart level. She sells basically the services of a lab company, but I mean, she's in shape. She does yoga like 5 days a week. She only eats organic. I think she has a kid. Her kid only eats organic, and it's like she lives the entire lifestyle. So I think that's important. It's okay, we can't all be perfect, but when you start to build this culture in your office, it's important. If you talk to Zach, I'm sure if he's been with the company for like 6 weeks, he knows the culture of orthomolecular. He knows that when he shows up in the end of February to our sales meeting, we've got a bunch of like CrossFitters and yogis and like all these people. Like, we have a pretty intense sales meeting because we play volleyball, and it's not like going to a sales meeting and playing volleyball and it's just dinking it over. It gets pretty intense because we all live this lifestyle, and that's our culture. So I think that's really important. The Premier Welcome, I couldn't really figure out a great place to put this, but I think this is really important. This came from a guy named Rory Vaden. He's a motivational speaker. He's kind of like a newer age Zig Ziglar, if you've ever heard of him. But basically, it's the concept of, and he uses himself and his wife, and maybe I can do that too now, but it's like when you get home, or you're just kind of like, hey honey, or she walks in the door, hey honey, and you're sitting on the couch like flipping the channel or whatever. Or you get up, you say, hi, I'm happy you're home. Like, be a puppy, essentially, when your significant other gets home. But when it comes to your office, this was from the guy that does runs the Ritz-Carlton, I can't think of his name. So he uses the example of a bank teller. So you walk into your bank and they're like, you want to change a 50. And so you walk in there, they're like, next, down here, and you're looking around, you're like, where's down here? Because there's 5 tellers. So finally you like walk down to this one, I need change for 50. All right, 20, 10, 10, 5, and 5, they just kind of count it out. That's it, bye, you walk out. Or you walk in, hey, Mr. Putkammer, glad to see you back again. Come down here, I'm at teller number 2. Oh, you need change for 50, how would you like it? Thank you, it was a pleasure serving you. Is there anything else I can do? So in your office, this would be another thing I would challenge you. Do you know how your front desk staff answers the phone? Do you know what they say? Because that sends a message. And I'll tell you, as a salesperson, one, cold calling is like one of the worst things you could ever do for your self-esteem. So I don't recommend it. But there are certain offices that you can walk into and there's a professional way to even tell people no. So it's like one of those things, if I walk in and it's just like, Dr. Collins is busy, she can't see you right now. Thank you for stopping by. Can we take your business card if she's interested? Which, they throw my business card away, whatever. But there's a nice way of doing that. And I can tell the people, and I sit in waiting rooms all the time, where a patient walks in and they're like, fill out the sheet. Doctor will see you maybe in a half hour. Here's the forms. Or are they walking in and, hi, we haven't met yet. I'm Tim, I'm Dr. Feldman's receptionist. Please fill out the form. It really says something for your office, and it really sells. I mean, that's a reflection of you. So I think that's really important to work on that Premier Welcome. So now we're getting into goal setting. Maybe you've heard this before, maybe you haven't. SMART goals, specific. So obviously, like, you need to specify what the actual goal is. Can you measure it? If it's not measurable, it is not attainable. So the next one, is it relevant to your practice, and is it time oriented? So are you saying, I want to do this specific thing, I want to run 2 miles in 10 minutes. Obviously I can measure that. It is attainable. It's not so lofty that I'd never be able to do it, maybe not now. And at the time it was relevant to me for my fitness, and I wanted to do it by the time 6 months was up. So that is important. So how do we begin? How do we make this happen? Well, the first thing that you can do if you don't know these things already is to take a look back at your numbers from the first quarter of 2015. So we're going to get into specifics after this, but let's say it's new patients. We're going to talk about that in a second. How many new patients did you have in January? How many patients February and March? So in 2016, at least you have a baseline. I had 10 new patients in January of 2015. I implemented a new marketing program or advertising program at the time. I want to have 12 new patients in January of 2016. Have you set that? And again, no one needs to raise their hand, but I challenge you, have you done that before where you said, you know what, to stay in business, or I'm Dr. Feldman, I want this huge center, so I need to have 15 new patients a month for the next year to grow it up enough that I have 3 full-time nurse practitioners and PAs and everything like that. So I think that's really important. And then schedule a day for this. And I know I'm picking on her again, but Dr. Feldman, I walked into her office, this is maybe like 6 months ago. The office wasn't open, and they're like redecorating furniture in the front. So this is like, okay, like whatever, what they're doing. And I started talking to her, and she had, kind of learned this thing from somewhere, I don't remember, maybe freedom practice coaching. But they had a half day planned with all of the staff. It wasn't just her sitting in her office by herself, like trying to come up with these ideas. And one of the things they came up with was, our front office needs to be more welcoming. And maybe that ties into the Premier Welcome. So they took some paintings off the wall, put new ones up, reorganized the furniture, and did all this stuff. But my point is having a day to actually plan these things. So maybe, for me, I already have my entire 2016 planned out. I know the numbers I need to hit in January all the way through December in order to meet my entire year goal. I know that I need to have at least 48 new customers next year in order to succeed. So, I have all that stuff done. I did it about 3-4 weeks ago. So now is the time to start planning. You know how quickly November and December are going to be over, and all of a sudden you're in January. So make sure, schedule a day in maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, have your key staff there, and plan out what at least the first quarter of 2016 are going to look at. So here's the things I want to flip through really quick. Goals, so new patient goals, revenue goals, program goals, email goals, because we talked about that last week, and then the question marks are kind of, a variety of different things. From a new patient goal, I went through some of this, but how many patients do you need, over the course of a week, over the course of a month, and then over the course of the entire year? So even for me, I know I need 48 new customers, but I actually want to have 32 of them in the first 2 quarters of the year, so the first half of the year, because that helps me with my numbers moving forward if I get my new customers on the front end as opposed to the back end, because I have more opportunity to grow. What